7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
And welcome back to another edition of the Vegas Squares podcast. Sitting here in the studio, myself and the Tonys, and it is week 3 of college football. And every week, as we do about this time, we give you our college football picks for you to either tail or fade. And I don't remember last week if you should have been tailing or fading. How'd we do? How'd you do, Token?
Awful.
So you should have been on the fade train with that.
Yeah, I was also, it was one of, if not the worst weeks I've ever had in college football. All the three major bets that I liked, I went 0-2-1 and was kind of fortunate to get the one. Tied, so it was pretty bad. And then the others just kind of fizzled out too. So, yeah, it was a rough week.
Yeah, well, that's all right. That's the great thing about recreational sports betting podcasts is there's a new week and the slate's kind of clean. Again, welcome to the Vegas Squares podcast. We are going to be doing a college football week 3 preview show here. Myself, Token Tony, and Tony Johnson are all here in Studio A. And let's thank the sponsors before we get into it. We want to thank, obviously, first and foremost, 12 Ounce Sports, where you can hear us every Friday night, Saturday morning, and Sunday morning. The times are available on 12 Ounce Sports Radio. I've butchered that 2 weeks in a row, so if you want to check out 12OZSportsRadio.com, and you can get our times as well as other shows. Also want to thank Seat Giant. You can use promo code 12Ounce Sports for discounts on sporting events, concerts, and other, obviously, great things. I don't know. What else do you go to besides sporting events or concerts? Plays? Oh, do they have plays on Seat Giant? I don't know. I have to look at it.
I don't know.
Do you buy play tickets?
Usually,
have you been to a play in a long time? Have you been to a play ever?
I do like musicals and plays, but I have not been to one in, about a year. So I went to...
Yeah, they actually have theater on there, yeah.
Do they? What else they have?
Sports concert theater.
Sports concerts. So sports concerts, and instead of saying other things, I should just say sports concerts and theater tickets.
I went to Shenyun last year.
They have Cirque shows on there.
Producer and I went and saw Book of Mormon 2 months ago. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned that on a podcast before. But
I think so.
Yeah, plays are cool, I guess. But we're getting off track here. Let's go back to the sponsors. Thrive Fantasy. Also use promo code 12Ounce Sports for all things daily fantasy sports. Check them out, Thrive Fantasy. Use promo code 12Ounce Sports. And our newest partnership is BetSperts, which I came across on Twitter for the last few weeks. It's actually it's similar to the Action Network in that it's a gambling advice website and a gambling tracking website, which for, recreational bettors, hardcore sports bettors, sharps, squares, I think we all like to keep track of how we do. And instead of making, the spreadsheets like, old school, you can use apps like BetSperts to keep track of your picks. And your picks are available for anyone to tail or fade, such as they do with our podcast. So we want to thank the guys over at BetSperts for partnering up and being a sponsorship to our dribble. So hopefully we can have a good showing week 3 here for the new partner. Sorry, so let's recap kind of like week 2. Obviously it went horribly wrong for us, and but on the field, not from a betting perspective, what have you really taken away from what we've seen from some of these teams in 2 weeks of college football?
Well, I think last week we finally got, I was on the turnover train and fumble train after week 1, and we did see a bit of a drop-off last week. There were 18 less turnovers across the slate last week, so that was good to see. And for me, I think we're finally starting to see, we've had a lot of teams, a lot of the Power 5 teams play 2 relative cupcakes for the most part in their first 2 weeks. There are some exceptions certainly to that rule, but for most of them, they have not played a a singular quality opponent yet. And for a lot of these teams, we're finally starting, seeing a lot of them actually play a quality opponent for the first time, whether it be at a conference game or be it just a better opponent non-conference. So I think we're going to finally learn a little bit more. There's a lot of teams like that this week. Teams like NC State, K-State that come to my mind really quickly. So, yeah, I think that we'll finally see a little bit more. We'll understand a little bit more, and that makes the handicapping easier in a way. The numbers get, I think, a little bit tighter because obviously the bookmakers certainly know more too. But I think we're going to find out more about some of these teams that we're a little bit unsure about.
Yeah, teams after that first week start to kind of get in the click of things and cause themselves to be in better situations and minimize the damages with unnecessary penalties and all that too, for sure, is one of the cases.
Yeah, I gotta imagine. I would always I've always said, ever since I've got into sports gambling, I always love to sit in one of those rooms. Obviously, some of the places now are strictly computer simulation, but I'm sure there's a few books out there where there is that wise guy who sits back there and sets lines. I think South Point's still probably one of the ones that generally does that with Jimmy Vaccaro. But there's not a lot. Again, I would love to be a fly on the wall when, back in the day when there was actually humans setting these lines. Mm-hmm. Obviously, from what I understand, the line, the score's interpretation to the line wasn't as close as it is now, and that's probably because of computer simulation. But
it was pretty damn good.
That's what I was going to say. Even without the technology, I'd say they were the sharpest of the sharps were pretty sharp, even back then with no. When you don't have the internet, you don't have. When things, like let's just take this for example. When Andrew Luck retired, when I saw it come across the screen, first thing I did was run over to my William Hill account and try to put the whole account on the Chargers, and it was like instant. Well, back then, you didn't have as instant notification, especially for some of these bookmakers. What would it take for me? Back in the 70s or 80s, if, Joe Montana walked up and said, hey, I'm done playing football, and I'm like, give me everything you got on whoever they played, that week, I might be able to have, a spot where I can get it there. But, then again, I don't know what rules they played by back then under Mafia rule. They might have said, hey, Paisan, come back and get your money. We're not taking this bet anymore. They might have been able to do that. I don't know. Because, I know that, I know that generally if they have to accept action if it's already there, but obviously they can take it off the board. It's happened a few times. Obviously, it's happened with Andrew Luck, and it's happened when the Boise State-Florida State game was moved. So, the action, they cease, it's instant like that. So, anyways, I'm off on a tangent here. But, yeah, after week 2, I'm curious to know, because Tony Johnson said, bookmakers are basically learning about these teams like we are. I'm curious to know more so what they look for as in terms of, there's no way one person can sit and watch, 60 college football games. It's just not happening. No. So, my question really theoretically, and I would love to ask somebody like Jimmy Vaccaro or anyone else who's involved pretty heavily in the sports book business is, do you only is there a certain clump you focus on every week? Like, okay, so next week there's a huge slate of games that are in conference. Are you focused on X, Y, Z, or are you trying to focus across the board? Because obviously the handle on X game is going to be huge compared to the angle on or the handle on Y. So, do you care about focusing on this matchup, foreshadowing that you don't expect a huge handle, and you're going to focus your attention more on matchup B because that matchup you expect, like Clemson, Texas A&M, LSU, Texas were the big matchups last week. I'm sure that they had higher handle than UCF, Florida Atlantic, just to name an example off the top of my head. I'm curious what their strategy is like that. And again, a lot of it's now more computerized, but it'd be nice to talk to a guy like him or anybody else who's involved in that business. So I was thinking about that at work, and I'm just like, man, I would love to. I'd be curious to go talk to people down on the strip, but again, sportsbook managers probably don't even have any inkling in that anymore.
Just how much action they can take or something, maybe.
Well, they generally
that size.
Yeah, generally they're curbing action.
Yeah,
but they're not necessarily setting lines anymore. And I had a friend who worked for one of the strip properties in the sportsbook, and he says, "Yeah, I have nothing to do with the lines." He's like, "Those lines are computer generated." So
yeah.
So, Anyways, moving on. Again, after week 2, we've played. Everybody's played 2 games. We've got a Heisman race that started with Trevor and Tua, and after week 2, I would say Trevor Lawrence has fallen to a distant third behind Tua and Jalen Hurts. So I'll ask you, just to kind of start it off, Token, if you had a Heisman vote, who would you give it to after 2 weeks of play? Or 2 games, I guess, if we've had 3 technical weeks.
I mean, if you count the full games and their full numbers and all that, I would say Hurts. I mean, Tool's been not completing games and all that. I mean, but his stats are still very unbelievable and all that. So I think Hurts has put up more performance now, and that's where I would lean.
I'm a little biased because I actually now have some wagers on this one. So yeah.
We're getting a non-political answer. Here we go.
Well, it's the reality of what it is.
We've been waiting for this.
Here's real Token.
It's a sports
Real
betting
fake
podcast.
Token.
So
Real fake Token. Here we go.
Yep.
So let's hear your wagers.
No, I mean I have Tua as the now second or third favorite off the board, which I think is ridiculous. And then I think the most talented player in the game is Justin Fields of Ohio State. So I have him as well. He hasn't really moved down all that much, despite the fact that he's had 2 really, really good weeks, and the team looks really, really good, which I think is a big addendum to this Heisman race is how good your team is, which doesn't necessarily have a lot to do with you all the time, because obviously these guys are not playing defense, they're not on special teams, certainly they're limited. So I do think that matters a lot in this deal.
Well, sure, usually it's the best play. It's usually the quarterback on the best team or a best player on the best team.
So yeah, there's usually one player each year, and it's just without. I mean, every single year there's one player that rises really, really quickly and takes a lot of money early on and tends to not even be in the top 5 or 6 at the end. And that one this year is Joe Burrow, who has become, at a couple of spots, the actual outright favorite to win this thing. And, I mean, again...
he's shooting up. 2 games, really.
Yeah, I mean, I really like what LSU is doing this year on offense. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of what's happening. It's just... The problem is I don't think it's very sustainable against higher quality competition, especially when they start to get into conference play. I know knock on Texas, but I mean I do think that when they face 2-3 quality defenses in a row, we're not going to see the same numbers from Joe Burrow. And again, that's still a defensive team. That's still it will be a ball control team as the season goes on. Coach O might have changed a little bit, but as they say, the Tigers don't change their stripes. He's going to want to sit on the ball late in a game with a small lead. It's just that's the nature of the beast. So
running in defense.
Yeah. So to me, if I had to pluck a favorite, again, I'm not sold on Jalen Hurts at all. I'm not sold on Oklahoma at all as a team. I think their defense is absolutely abysmal. And Jalen is not a guy that can go out and win you a game, in my opinion. He's limited as a thrower of the ball. I don't like how young their wide receiver core is. CeeDee Lamb is one thing, but a lot of these guys are still kind of running into each other out there, and it doesn't matter because, again, the level of competition. But I'm not sold on Oklahoma, so if I had to say who a favorite would be, my guess is it would be Tagovailoa. In my opinion, he's the best player in regards to numbers and putting everything together, and that team is just so stout and so incredible. Trevor Lawrence doesn't have much of a chance, I don't think, just because they run the ball so much and so well that my guess is he's not really involved. Plus, I think everybody knows how bad Clemson's schedule is, and it's just so inflated there because that conference is so down this year.
Well, yes, and actually he had a pretty poor game by standards against Georgia Tech, and had a decent game against A&M, but didn't really have to do too much, like you said, because the running game was just phenomenal. And that's the question: is how much is this kid going to have to do week to week because of the fact his team is so good? And, for right now, I mean, he's got more interceptions than touchdowns. And if we're going strictly based on 2 big numbers, that's not a good look for what somebody would.
Absolutely.
What some people are calling a future NFL Hall of Famer. I mean, we're already crowning him that at this point. I think this question could be twofold. Who would get your Heisman vote after week 2? Like, if the season ended today. And who would be your Heisman front runner? I think are 2 different questions. But yeah, I think Tua is the best player in the league or in the NCAA. I think you're absolutely right as far as most talented. But right now, if I had a vote and the season ended today, I got to go with token. I think it would be Jalen Hurts. Although I agree with you, Tony Johnson. I don't think at the end of the season, I think he'll be exposed at some point. Again, he's played Houston, who I thought would put up a little bit better of a fight. And I forget who they played. Somebody State. I forget who they played, but he had another, phenomenal
Southern University, I think.
No, that was Memphis.
Oh.
But that's my point. You don't remember because it's largely irrelevant who they played. Also, I came across this morning when doing some show prep, and I'm not a big futures guy, but it's an interesting spot here because originally I misread the prop because I thought it only said Clemson to win national championship. Yes, minus 170, no, plus 150. And I thought, well, what the fuck? So I went over to the futures for every single team, and Clemson was plus 175. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't I just bet it here at plus 175? Why would I take this bet over here? Maybe they're trying to trap me or something. Then I actually went back and reread it, and it said Clemson and Alabama prop to win the national championship. Yes, minus 170, no, plus 150.
But it's like some of the Ryder Cup bets or something. They have a two-way and a three-way, and usually sometimes the favorite's the same on the two-way as well as the three-way.
Well, it wasn't that. It was just it's just misread it.
Yeah.
I didn't see the word Alabama there for whatever reason, and that's what it threw me off. And I'm glad. And that's kind of what forced me to reread it because I was like, I would never touch this because I can go get it over here for plus 175. So something doesn't make sense, and that's when I reread it. But Token, at this point, are you taking the top two, or would you take the field? I mean, you have LSU, you have Texas, you have if USC wins the Pac-12, there's a shot they could get into the title. I mean, there's a lot of teams. Ohio State with Tony's boy Justin Fields. Mm-hmm. You got Georgia. You got a lot of teams. I mean, plus 150 for the field, or would you feel more comfortable taking those top two and laying juice?
As right now, I would feel confident taking the top two and laying the juice. But however, towards the end of the season, I don't think that will be the case, and that would make me bet the field.
Tony? Other Tony?
Yeah, I mean, I love future betting, as you know, but this type of bet I'm not a fan of usually, so I haven't really thought about it. I do think that those two teams are two of the best. I think then there's a second tier, which is Georgia and LSU, in my opinion. Although Georgia made a graphically bad mistake in letting Justin Fields walk
he
away.
is not going to let this go.
Well, I mean, he's the most talented player in
I am
college
praying
football.
they match up.
So,
yeah. I disagree.
Yeah,
but I am praying they match up.
I actually don't think it's relatively close. I think there's Justin Fields and there's like a big drop-off. I mean, the guy is unbelievable. He's barely played quarterback in his life. And, I mean, this is what he's doing at Ohio State. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. So
they don't really have too many tests. Michigan State, Michigan, as far as defense. Who's gonna trip that guy up?
And they play Iowa. They play good teams. It's a tough conference this year. Nebraska's a good team. So
stop it.
Well, I mean they
Stop
are.
it.
Nebraska's an all right team.
They're not playing well. They're
They're
talented.
1-1, and they barely won. I say barely won. They had trouble with their first game in South Alabama.
I know, but we got to look past the early stuff. They have a very talented team. They are good. I'm not saying that they're playing well right now, but they are certainly.
They've got a good coach.
Yeah, I mean, but that's
he's all right.
That's the least of my concerns. I care more about the talent on the team. The talent is good.
I would love to see a spot where it doesn't work out in Nebraska for Scott Frost and Josh Heupel's like, hey, you want to be a wide receivers coach for UCF? Could he go back to that after leaving? I don't know if he could.
Probably not.
It'd be rough.
Yeah.
I mean that's my take on it. I think Georgia made a huge mistake. I really do. I think that's going to end up doing them in.
So you're taking the field in this prop?
No, I would take Alabama and Clemson just because I don't think there's any chance that Clemson doesn't get in the playoff. So you pretty much have a guaranteed playoff. They are in my mind like a 95+% chance to get in, just because I don't see how they can really lose per se. It's a very, very, very weak schedule, and then. Alabama certainly would be the team that would be the most likely of those two to not get in the playoff. They have some tough games, but
they even have a shot based on
if they lose a game.
The CFP's just love is the fact that they don't even have to win their conference. We've seen that.
True. Yeah, no, and I think they are the best team in the conference. So that's who I would go with because I do think they're head and shoulders better. And then after those four teams, I do think there's definitely a significant drop off. So, yeah, I mean, based on that, I would pay the minus 170.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at that too because I think I would probably pay the minus 170 because if I get the Clemson-Bama matchup, I'm free rolling. And like you said, I mean, other than maybe, I mean, what team are they going to face? Either of these teams going to face that they may only be like 150. You know, if one of them, like you said, if Clemson's got a clear path to at least the Final Four, you're going to get the field for a better price than 150 on most teams. Notre Dame, Michigan, maybe the teams you wouldn't get plus 150 or greater is maybe Ohio State and Georgia, and possibly LSU. But if you get Texas, you get USC, you get Oklahoma, I would imagine they're going to be bigger than plus 150 in the title game against one of these teams.
Well, I would say Utah over USC. I think Utah's
or Utah, but I still
better,
think Utah would be greater than a 150 dog to both these teams.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure.
So I think grabbing minus 170 might be a better spot here because, like you said, Clemson's 95 to 99% in the Final Four. Bama's probably at a 75 to 80 or probably higher percent clip to get in.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And so, I mean, even if they go Bama-Georgia in the conference title game and Georgia wins, I would imagine Bama might still get in if that's their only loss of the year.
Yeah, what you saying before, so.
Right. I mean, they didn't even play in the title game. Again, I'll reiterate that. They didn't play in the title game, and they got in last time. So I just saw that prop. I was kind of interested in gauging your responses, and I laid 34 to win 20 on Clemson and Bama.
Oh, you bet it? Okay.
Yeah, I already bet it. I was just wanting to see. I was going to throw it up there, and you guys were like, that's just terrible approach. You got to take the field in this spot. I'm like, whoops. So
no. I think you have the right side.
So, all right. Well, let's not waste any more of the listener time and dive right into the games. Let's start with the early. I have actually revamped this because I'm terrible at times and time zones. So we're going to start with the early games. That's what I've called them. Speaking of the Georgia Bulldogs, they are going against Arkansas State, which, correct me if I'm wrong right here, they are a 33-point favorite in what is to be a tune-up game before their big matchup with Notre Dame. Arkansas State walked over here into Las Vegas last week and put a slap on UNLV, but UGA and UNLV are not the same.
Well, they're on different worlds.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. They're on different time zones. I was going to say time zones. They're on different rankings. Nevertheless, Arkansas State coming in as a dog, rightfully so. This is a huge line. But, big line, 33 and a half, depending on where you look. We've got a total of 58. It's a spot maybe where Georgia could just be going through the motions, not trying to get anybody hurt. A big number. And correct me if I'm wrong, they didn't beat Murray State by as many points as I thought they would. I think the Murray State game was like, 43-7 or something like that?
Yeah, Murray scored early in that game,
Yeah.
and they were kind of sort of hanging there for a bit. But yeah, those big spread games are sometimes hard to predict because you don't know how.
When do they let off the gas?
Yeah.
If they let off the gas.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, my take quickly is, I'm not putting a lot of stock in Arkansas State's route last week, and the main reason, this is one of the few bets I actually won, was their head coach Blake Anderson came back just before that game started. He'd been grieving over the death of his wife from cancer for, I think, a week and a half or 2 weeks or so, and he flew to Las Vegas and surprised them in the hotel on Friday night.
Win one for coach there.
Yeah, I kind of heard when that happened, and I decided to lay just a small wager on Arkansas State.
And you got a point, too.
Yeah, I mean, it was, to me, that again, they're the better team than UNLV. They should get the credit for that. Absolutely, I'm not saying anything against that, but I do think that mattered quite a bit. That was a big emotional victory. This one, obviously, you're going to certainly have, they're going to get hit in the mouth, on a repeated basis in a game like this. And really, what they don't do nearly as well is stop the run. Anderson's a great offensive coach, but especially their D-line is a little bit weak, even for the conference that they're in, and now they have to go and play Georgia. So, to me, this is kind of another just whitewashing type of game. Not really sure what Georgia puts forth here. They've been pretty good about not looking ahead to opponents throughout Kirby Smart's tenure. So I'm not terribly worried about that. I do think the line probably makes some sense here. I don't have a play here, but I do think that we won't see it as close of a game, or the Murray State initial score, I think, or whatever it was last week.
63-17. I was looking at the wrong score. I was looking at I don't know what I was looking at. I got 33-7, but
yeah, I mean, I do think that this one will be early, done and early on here in this game.
And that's the question, because last week against Murray State, Fromm went out early. DeAndre Swift went out early, only had 6 carries. Would this token be tune-up is, I guess, the right word, but would this be almost a practice session where you want to get your guys not hurt, but you want to get them more reps? Because 2 straight weeks of playing, a half of football is not necessarily.
Not even half football.
Well, I'm sure they probably. I don't know exactly when they went out, but point being is 2 straight weeks of not seeing large segments of the game.
Yeah,
doesn't bode well when you get a team that's coming in Notre Dame. And let's be honest, they're not a slouch.
Yeah,
they're not Arkansas State.
Absolutely. I think Arkansas State's a little better than what we make them out to believe. And this one, I would lean towards taking the dogs, and that is the team that is for Arkansas State. Plus the points, I see them getting a backdoor cover.
Yeah, that's confusing when you say I lean towards the dogs.
I know.
In this game.
I know. I know. That's why I said it. No, I like them getting the 33 in this spot. I do see a backdoor cover possibly. I do think Georgia starters will be out there a little deeper in this one and less of a scrimmage kind of game. So. Yeah,
I think the longer Fromm and Swift and company are out there, the better that bodes well for the favorite here. I think I just lay the 33. I think they're going to beat them like 49-10, something like that, something big. Because even with their backups, they're beating teams pretty well. So it'll be an interesting game, one that I won't be watching, but it'll be interesting to see how Kirby Smart prepares. That's always the question. I mean, you don't want to take a team lightly and end up in a dogfight, expending more energy than you have to. But at the same time, you don't want to get anybody hurt. It's probably one of the coaches, probably a coach's biggest conundrum, that you have. I mean, the NFL, you don't really have that problem, but in college football, there are teams you can look over, and sometimes there's teams that you think you can look over, and turns out you can't. So
that's not the case.
I think UGA wins this game by 40 plus. So, all right. So let's move on to Pitt versus Penn State. Penn State is giving 17 at home in the 100th meeting between these two teams, and potentially the last meeting for a while. They have said that they have no immediate intentions on continuing this series, although they've done this once for a 6-year hiatus before. But as of right now, this is the 100th and final meeting as it stands now. Last year, this game was 51-6 in favor of Penn State. And the line suggests that we could see more of the same. 17 in favor of the Nittany Lions. The total is 53.
Yeah, I like what Pitt is doing here. I talked about this, I think, a little bit last week with Mark Whipple, the new offensive coordinator coming over from UMass. He is, I think, the offense that he's installed and just his mind, on a team where it's very defense first, and especially from the head coach on down. I think that he's a great addition here, and we'll see as this goes on. I think we're going to see the pace and the tempo pick up a little bit from Pitt, and I think that Kenny Pickett will get better as the season goes on. I know people are really down on him because they expected him to really make some strides from last season, and he hasn't really done that. But I do like what's going on here. I thought they played a pretty good game against Ohio last year, and Ohio is no slouch. That's a very good team overall, not just for their conference that they're in, but I think Ohio can play against a lot of quality teams out there. So no matter where the conference is, so I do think that was a pretty quality win that might get overlooked a little bit. And for me here, again, I don't have a play in this game, but Penn State is still relatively young. They still are untested for the most part. I really like what Penn State is doing pretty much across the board. And talent-wise, they certainly are significantly more talented at pretty much every position. But to me, Pittsburgh is coming along really well too. And I wouldn't want to go out and lay a big number on here. I think the number's pretty good. I like both teams and where they're headed. For me, this will be a really nice game to watch and a fun game to watch because I like both teams going forward in both of their respective conferences this year.
Yeah, like Pitt in this matchup as well. Plus 17, that's a lot of points. I do think Penn State's the better team, and they do get the W, and they win by 10 or 14, but not enough to cover the spread. Head-to-head, the last 7 meetings, the underdog is 5-1-1, as well as in their last 5 meetings, the road team is 3-1-1.
Well, that one would probably be last year with 51-6.
Yeah.
I don't think they pushed on that.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. No real play in this one because I actually am very interested in this game because UCF travels to Pitt next week, so I'd like to see what kind of team they're going up against.
Yeah.
Obviously, they have a big contest ahead of them Saturday, but we'll get to that a little bit later because they play a later game. All right, Cincinnati coming off of a drubbing by Ohio State. Goes back home, licking their wounds, and they get Miami of Ohio, the Red Hawks. Is that what they are?
I believe that's right. I think that's right, yeah.
They are laying the Bearcats 17.5 points with a total of 49.5. Fickle squad. I mean, how do you react? I mean, you didn't think you were going to get crushed. So what does that do to the spirits of your team? Because, I mean, just a week ago we were talking, is Cincinnati the best G5 team we have? We're talking about American Conference, and again, I know that that's different than playing the big boy of Ohio State, but you walk in, you're thinking, hey, we got a shot against Ohio State. We got a shot to do something for the G5, the group of 5 teams to put us even more on the map than we already are. And, yeah, it didn't work out. Was it 45-0 or 49-0, whatever the score was? They got 0, I know that.
It was nasty. It was really nasty. It was completely one-sided right from the get-go. Yeah, and I think your point is exactly right.
They were covering the game for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, they were down 21-0, like just very early. And then Desmond Ritter got hurt.
Yes.
But the game was even out of reach before he was pretty much ruled out.
And that's been the surprising thing with Cincy this year is how offensively they have not looked great, even against a depleted UCLA team. They did not look great in that game either. So I do think there are some, if I had to, the panic, hit the panic button or don't hit it, kind of thing. I wouldn't hit it yet. However, I do think that after a few more games, if we don't see a turnaround here from Cincy, which should have a pretty high-quality offense, I do think that there is some panic to be had because that is a very good conference that they're in. There's no doubt about that there's a lot of talented teams in that conference. So this one that they're facing, non-conference this week, is not one of those, however. Miami of Ohio is been in transition themselves, actually, still developing a new offense over there. And I do think this one will be relatively one-sided. Again, how will Cincinnati respond? I think you said that right, Aaron, is it we just don't really know. And in these games where a team gets drubbed or a team dominates that we don't expect, either one way or the other, if something happens that we don't expect, we don't know that team all that well,
right.
I tend to stay away from those games just because I don't know enough. Again, if I had to take a lean here, I would actually be on Cincy just because I'm not a fan of Miami of Ohio. I do think they're one of the bottom tier teams in the MAC, which is certainly not one of the better Group of 5 conferences. So I would lay the 17 here with Cincy, but I'm not going to go to the window with it. But certainly that would be my lean on this game.
Fun fact: Cincinnati versus Miami of Ohio is the oldest and longest non-conference rivalry in college football.
That is surprising.
They have played 123 games.
Wow. That is amazing.
Right? It's crazy. I never would have thought about that just because of the trajectory of both teams. But, I don't know. So the series is 59, 57, and 7 in favor of Miami of Ohio.
Wow.
7 ties.
And that includes a current 13-game losing streak for Miami of Ohio, and they still lead the series by 2 games. I don't have really a real thought process on this too, because another team I'll be watching. Again, I like to see how they rebound to getting boat raced in a game, especially a game they were probably a little high for. I mean, not that that's a bad thing, but they probably went in with a big chest into that game and got humbled. So maybe Coach Fickle can use that as a coaching tool to say, hey, look, we got our doors blown in. We don't like that feeling. Let's play better football. I don't care if it's against Miami of Ohio. Miami O is starting Brett Gabbert, and if that name sounds familiar, he is the brother of Blaine Gabbert. No relevance to...
He's a freshman.
Yeah, he's a true freshman. He was the first true freshman. Again, really old rivalry. First true freshman to start. He'll be the first true freshman, barring any catastrophic thing. First true freshman to start in this rivalry. So
interesting.
Again, it's just weird to say rivalry because you don't think about these two. But the fact that it's the oldest non-conference rivalry in college football is kind of cool.
Yeah. It's a lot of games and matchups already.
I'm going to take Miami of Ohio. No bet here, but I think Cincinnati is just not as good as they think they are, and maybe I'm basing that solely off of the fact that they've started slow, and maybe they're a better team as the season goes on. But I feel like they didn't lose much in terms of talent from last year to this year, and it hasn't started off so far. And maybe this is one of those where we get the win, we play hardball, and maybe they come together as a team, but. Right now, I'm not too sold on Cincinnati. No bet, but if I had to, I'd probably take the points.
Spread was on, what, 17?
17 and a half. Yeah.
Okay. 17, I think it pushes. 34-17, Cincinnati wins. No play for me.
No play, but if you're going to play it, I'll play the tie.
You get 8-1 on that, like in Baccarat?
That would be cool. Yeah, exactly. Interesting matchup. Not sure if I'll be glued to my seat on this one, but... a team that I have not had any faith in yet, and I've bet against them twice, and I'm 0-2 against them. Maryland has sneaked into the top 25, and they face Temple. They are laying a touchdown in Philly, 66.5. It's been rumored, it's been whispered, not rumored, that's not really the right word, but it's been whispered so far that Maryland might be a dark horse Big Ten contender. Is it too early to start thinking that, or?
Significantly, in my opinion.
Well, considering they haven't played the Big Ten yet.
Yes.
But
I mean, plausible, but unlikely.
Syracuse is either really down or had a bad day. They got cold cocked right in the mouth by this Maryland team, and Maryland's going to run with you. They might run with a lot of these teams in the Big Ten, which is not typical Big Ten football. They might, when I say run, I mean they might spread the field and be able to go up and down the field with the likes of Ohio State and teams like that.
Yeah,
I mean they did it last year in a down season.
But.
And you were the first one to say, the cupboard's not bare there. So they're laying a touchdown here in this spot. Temple's kind of an interesting team this year, especially in the AAC. But so it's premature on the Big Ten contender. But what about just this game right now?
Yeah, this is my first play of the day here.
We got one,
or we have one, so it's very exciting. But yes,
hot damn.
Exactly. We have I think way too much hype and too much of this Maryland train kind of that's gotten going. And again, I'm as you correctly said, and I do still feel this way. I've never been against Maryland. I do think there's a lot of talent there. I actually like the hire at the head coach. I do think that there's some good things happening. But after the two drubbings that they've given, Howard and Syracuse respectively, I think we're a little bit high on this team, and I really like the spot here with Temple getting points at home, and this is great for a couple of reasons. Number one, the new coach, Rod Carey, who comes over from Northern Illinois, is a guy that has been doing this now for years, Northern, slaying, Power 5 teams, especially really renowned, big time institutions, going into Nebraska and winning, things like that. I mean, just this guy is legit. He's really, really good at getting the most out of his teams. They have not had a lot of talented teams at Northern Illinois for the most part, but he gets the most out of his players. He's a really, really high quality head coach, I think. X's and O's maybe about mediocre, but just in motivational sense and being able to talk to people, he's fantastic. So that's number one. Number two is Temple's coming off of a bye here. They had a random, non-conference against Bucknell a couple weeks ago, but then they get a bye week here, and he gets to prepare for Maryland, and I think that will be huge for this team to not only have rest, but actually to prepare for this Maryland team, which Syracuse was clearly not at all prepared for. That's a great head coach over there at Syracuse too, but they were still kind of caught unprepared. I do not think Temple will be in this game, so to me, I think those two reasons are fantastic. Also, Temple returning almost every offensive player from last year. Everybody but two, all O-linemen but one, and Anthony Russo, really underrated quarterback. They're going to play really up-tempo and quick pace too. So I kind of, when I saw the lines come out, I was hoping the total would be somewhere in the 50s and they would kind of make a mistake. Well, they didn't. It is a little bit too high. Now it's at 66 and a half, 67. Yeah. Holy moly! So I get it. It makes sense.
Scoring.
Yeah, I do. I do think there'll be some scoring here, but to me, the best spot here is Temple. I actually think they're going to outright win. So I don't really have much of I haven't thought of a score prediction, but I don't even think we need the points.
You don't need score predictions.
I like Temple. I like Temple a lot in this game.
Yeah, I'm not making a bet yet, but I could see this line moving even higher. So this one might be one to grab early in the morning and take Temple if you like Temple.
You gonna go across the 7, go to 7.5?
Well, right now it's 8. And DraftKings and FanDuel, which obviously is not available in Vegas, but if
really,
yep,
wow.
Oh, that's my.
The over/under's off at DraftKings though.
No, I could see this adding the hook or even maybe moving to flat 8 or I don't know.
Well, it opened at 7.5 and it's actually come back down. So you think it might pop back up?
I think it pops back up.
There's a lot of Maryland action. And again, you look at Vegas. We record this on Friday mornings. There are people coming into town tonight and are going to be laying large wagers. So, Token, you may not be wrong as far as the line moving, but in which way it moves, we'll see. So, I don't really have any official stance on this. Temple's an AAC opponent for UCF, so I'll keep an eye. But what they do against Maryland will be interesting because Maryland is riding high right now. So, again, Tony Johnson's already on a play. We got a play from Tony. We got the first play from Tony Johnson. I didn't think that would happen.
Very exciting.
I didn't think of all the three of us he would have the first bet in. But maybe I did these in the order so that he gets the first bet.
You very well may have. Yes, you've been known to do some things with the order of games before as the founder and CEO of the show. So, yeah.
CEO. I don't get paid like a CEO.
No, that's true.
You guys get paid like volunteers, so that's
there
not right.
Go. Good.
All right, so let's move on to another game I really have no opinion about because I don't know what to make of these teams.
That means Tony probably does.
That means he's probably laid the wood on it.
And I think I know this game.
All right, what we got?
Is it the Air Force Colorado?
No. Not even close. Oh. North Carolina State and West Virginia.
Oh, that's not where I was going. Okay.
I'm sorry. We can come back to that.
No. I was trying to predict a weird game, but no, that's fine. That one's totally fine. So, I do have an opinion on this game. I have I certainly have a lean. I don't have not probably going to actually make it in to make a bet, but
I don't have a bet on this either. Do you have a bet on this bet?
No.
Yeah, we'll let you give some info and we'll move on.
I'll just be quick. I'll be quick. First of all, the weather should be subpar here. For about a 60-65% chance of rain. Not too much wind, but
rain in Morgantown makes for some fun fans.
Yeah, it'll be a sloppy mud fest, that's for sure. Which is probably up a lot of those.
Why the totals moved down?
Probably why it's moved down. Yeah, it started out pretty low anyway, around 46 or 45.5. But yeah, that was a bit of a surprise.
I got an open at 51 here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Really? Wow. Yeah, I
have it currently at 46.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely think that this is another one of those things where we're a little bit moving too fast with West Virginia. We've seen West Virginia now play a relatively subpar game against James Madison, which is a very good FCS team, and they couldn't cover there, and then they got their doors blown in by Missouri last week. But again, I think Missouri is a quality team.
Me too.
They're a good team. They play pretty good defense. They have now a
good quarterback,
well above average quarterback now. Yeah, I do think that Missouri's undervalued here. So again, new offense, new defense, totally new regime at West Virginia. Neil Brown will get it right. He's really good. It may not be this year, but I believe in him. I like the guy, and this team is going to play better. This is again not a cupboard bare situation. It's not like Maryland where there was really a significant amount of talent on that team, but it's still not a zero here, and we have not seen NC State play anybody yet. I love Dave Dorn as well. Again, this is two head coaches I really like, and he's a quality guy that gets a lot of stuff from his players. Just another Northern Illinois product, but yeah, I do think that West Virginia keeps this game relatively close. I would absolutely take the points here if I had to, just based on where I think it is. We haven't seen North Carolina State play anybody, and that's a whole new offense there, new quarterback, running back, and most wide receiver core. So to me, I'd be on the points, getting 7.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about your man crush, Justin Fields. His Ohio State Buckeyes are traveling to Bloomington to face the Indiana Hoosiers. I don't know why I did that. It was a weird voice. They are opened up laying 2 touchdowns. The line's up to 17.5 now. Total is 60. Again, not Justin Fields there. Last year they had Dwayne Haskins, but Indiana challenged Ohio State last year a little bit before eventually falling. The Buckeyes pulled away. It was 49-26, but the the game was a lot closer than that score indicated for most of it. So, that being said, what do you think?
This is my second play of the day.
2 plays before we got 1.
2 plays, yeah, it's very exciting. So this one I'm waiting on. I will actually...
He's betting all the morning games that he can chase on the late games.
Nice. I will get to the window a little bit later today. I've been waiting on this one because I did feel like this line was going to move a lot, and I think it might continue. I don't know. I'm just going to go ahead and take it. There's an 18.5 sitting out there right now, so I'm going to take that one. I do like Indiana here. Again, there's a couple of good reasons for this. I'll just throw this out there. This is not one of my reasons at all, but they are 7-1 in the last 8 against the spread in this series. But again, the average point spread is about 28 points on that one. So again, I don't put a lot of stock into that. These are new players. I don't give a shit, really. That doesn't matter. But, however, Indiana has played these games relatively close early on, usually in the first half. They are well into the game, and this team has slowly been rising and getting better. This is another, Tom Allen has been recruiting extremely well at Indiana the last 2 seasons. They had a top 50 recruiting class again this year. This is a team that is getting a lot better on both sides of the ball, and if he stays and he can maintain these types of recruiting classes, they are going to start winning 6 and 7 games a year plus on a regular basis. They're not going to really do much more than that because the conference is too difficult, but I do think this is a team that can actually be a high-quality team. And I think a lot of the uneasiness here is with their new quarterback, the freshman Michael Penix, who's questionable in this game. Everyone was shocked that he got the job over Peyton Ramsey, who was actually quite good last year for Indiana. And to me, that means a lot. Now, watching Penix a little bit.
Gordon Ramsay?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
But Penix was impressed in the spring game, and I wanted to see how he would be in the season because Peyton Ramsey, literally was great last year. So,
in relation to Patrick Ramsey?
Patrick Ramsey,
the quarterback for the Redskins. He played for Tulane, I think.
I don't know.
I go to you for this information, bro.
I don't think so. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe.
In relation to Dave Ramsey?
Oh God, I hope not. That's the one I hope not. Jesus. I'm not a fan of
Indiana could fall into a debt snowball if they get behind real fast.
I love Justin Fields, but we're going to see him eventually struggle against better competition. He has almost no experience.
Is it?
I think this is the game. But this will be the first game where we will see some chinks in the armor with Ohio State. I love their secondary. I actually really like their linebacking core. I think that's the best part about this team, this Ohio State team. But I do think that we're going to see some struggles on offense, and I think Indiana keeps this game close all the way. They might even have a possession at the end to possibly get a victory here. I like the money line as well. That one I already have picked up, but I'm going to get it about 18.5. I like Indiana in this game.
Nice. I actually do have a play on this game as well. I like the over. Currently 60, open at 58.5.
Okay.
I see a decent amount of scoring from both teams. I think Ohio State does end up getting the victory, but by no more than 2 scores, so I might even add a play on this one and take Indiana plus the points, and I see a 38-27 kind of game.
Currently, this is the longest winning streak, and now that the Gators' winning streak over Kentucky is snapped, this is the longest Power 5 conference winning streak between 2 teams in the Power 5 conference at 24 games and 1 tie. The last time Indiana did not lose this game was in 1990 when it was 27-27. So I'm bringing the fun facts today.
Surprised it still had ties back then.
Yeah, I don't know when they stopped doing ties. I'm not that old. Tony?
No idea.
No thought process for me in this one. OSU, the fans could make this not a true road game because it's only about 6 hours away, 6 or 7. And for what that's worth, I'm surprised you laid off the ball washing of Justin Fields for this matchup. That is a lot of points. If you believe they're better with Fields better than Haskins, you got to lay them, but I don't know. On the road, conference, 17 points. It's tough. Again, no play, so I won't waste any more of your precious time. All right, so we'll get to what Token thought was Tony's next bet, and that is Air... Oh, it is? Wow. All right, Air Force...
Token and I have discussed this off the air, so yes.
Oh, well, fuck you guys.
Yeah. Excellent.
If you're a sponsor and you didn't like that, sorry, my bad. We actually have sponsors. We might have to have standards now.
And some people actually make picks on games, but yeah.
Huh? I'm getting... Bro. Token hasn't made a pick. Why am I getting shots
I have
fired?
one now.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've got one play now.
What did you play?
The over in the OSU
You're not even
game.
listening to what we're saying.
In the what?
OSU Indiana game.
No, I thought you were taking the points, but you said you weren't betting.
I said I was taking the over.
But he might.
I said I had one play and that was the over, and
I missed the I have one play. My bad. Sorry, Token.
I'm listening, Token. I got you. I wrote it down. What you played.
Thanks, Spike Token.
It's so he can pick on you through text message. Actually, no. Spike's the only one who really does that.
No, I want this game to go back and forth. I hope it does.
Yeah, well, it keeps it close. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want it 60. What is it? 60? Yeah, you want it like
60, yeah.
31-30. There you go. Yep. Bink. All right, moving on. Air Force v. Colorado. Colorado coming off a big win against former conference rival, but still currently a rival. I'm cool with Scott Frost losing all his games, but that's just bitter of me. They are laying 3.5 over under 59 in this spot. You know what? Usually I can kind of tell where you're leaning. I'm a little lost here.
I'm going to let Token start this one off because we are on the same side here.
We're definitely on the same side. Screw the points. Air Force outright.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because?
Colorado's an overvalued team in this spot by far.
Really? It
yes.
seems like it's... I mean, yeah, you could say that based on the spread. It seems like they're an evenly matched team with Colorado basically just getting home field advantage here.
No,
but for as much talent as they have, I'm surprised you say that.
No, I think Air Force is a little undervalued in this one. Air Force is definitely higher overvalued in this.
Air Force is undervalued, but they're definitely higher overvalued.
No, Colorado's overvalued.
There you go.
That's what I said. I thought.
You thought.
Yeah.
I was listening. Fuck y'all.
Hey, we got a listener. We got a listener
now. Yeah,
hey.
Yeah. Token, you got your first listener.
Yeah.
He's sitting 4 feet from you.
No, I think the offense for Air Force will be able to put up some massive chunks of yards against this Colorado defense, and Colorado's offense might struggle against the Air Force defense.
All right, prop bet for you, and you pick. It's the $1 prop bet. You pick it, and he has to go with the other side. Okay. Over under.
Yeah.
2.5 passes thrown by Air Force in this game.
I'd probably take the over.
Yeah,
okay.
He's at the right side because they've become more of a passing team now recently. So yes,
because they threw one pass last week.
Yeah, I mean that was...
they threw exactly one pass. They were 1 for 1. So
can only move up.
Now Hammond averaged I think 6 to 8 passes last year when he played when he started. So I don't know. I'm not sure if how it'll go in this game. They might actually run the ball and be significantly better than Colorado.
You might see a pitch out, razzle dazzle or something.
Yeah, I think this team is on par with Colorado. I'm with Token here completely. I think not only are they on par in regards to being a quality team, I think that everything is going against Colorado in this spot.
It's an interesting thought process on that because, so far they are second in the Pac-12 in rush defense, and that is Air Force. So I guess to really remain competitive and potentially win the game, you're right, they're going to have to throw.
Yeah, and they will. I think they eventually will. Colorado beat a rival 2 weeks ago, and then they had a really nice comeback against Nebraska, and then they go and play their first conference game next week. I just think that this is a really, really tough spot to get up for again after they've gotten up, big the last 2 weeks.
But Air Force is in Colorado Springs.
Yes.
This can kind of be considered a rivalry. They don't play often, but it's not. I don't think they're going to overlook them, especially in state. Bragging rights is a thing.
And the nice thing is the elevation won't have an effect like it does on a lot of teams that come into Colorado. So I do think that Air Force is the best team that Troy Calhoun has had in his 17 or 18 years there, in my opinion.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think Air Force is a high-quality team. They're going to win 8-9 games this year. I really like this game. I think Token is dead on with the money line. I did pick up +4 a little bit too. I'm trying to figure out where the money line is going to best be at. I don't know. I mean, it was at 170 one spot. I should have gotten that one. I think the class is +160 now. But I think Air Force is just overall in a better spot here, and so I think they will win outright for sure. I'm with you, Token.
Yeah, I don't see much more movement in this line. It might close 3.5 or 4. But.
Agreed. I agree with you there. Yes.
All right. Well, I don't have a play on it, so I'll be rooting for you guys.
Awesome.
And I'll be rooting for one pass in the game for Air Force.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, yes. With the passing, we got the pass back.
After Tony Johnson's week 2, he needs that $1 rake back. So.
Yeah, that's true. Anything helps. That's very true.
All right, moving on to the last of the early games we will discuss, and that is Notre Dame hosting New Mexico as a 5-touchdown favorite. Line is 63.5, and as we talked about earlier with Georgia, this is a tune-up game for Notre Dame. They're also at home, but next week they do got to go into Athens and play what could be a very, very crucial game in terms of the CFB playoff, because as we know, Notre Dame controls their own destiny, and a win versus an SEC school will be huge for them. But right now, they've got New Mexico to deal with. They weren't necessarily great against Louisville, but they did get a win. They did win by 3 possessions. Again, this feels like a tune-up game. New Mexico doesn't have a lot going on, but they are no slouch. They are 1-0. They have a pretty decent offense. And also 5 touchdowns is a lot to lay. And again, we talked about Georgia with 33. This is a 35 at home. Are you tuning up? How are we tuning up? What are we doing? What are we working on? Are we effectively having a practice within the game? And there's a lot of questions in something like that. So 35 points is a lot to really cover.
It is. Don't have a play yet. I would probably lean towards the Lobos plus the points. I think Notre Dame might take off the throttle a little on this one, but also kind of like the under as well. I think that's quite a bit of points, and I don't see Notre Dame just putting up more than 40, and I don't see New Mexico scoring more than 14. So
there's a lot of points.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that Bob Davies not going to be there, coach for New Mexico in this one.
Oh, that's right.
He does not visit his old school where he coached for a few years. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting.
Why was he let go?
Because he was bad.
Well, yeah, but that's not. Is that the bad blood, or is he just super bitter?
Oh, I don't know if it's bad blood or not. I think he called a game there when he was announcing before the New Mexico game. So I think it's
calling is different than being on the sideline.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. Yeah.
But no, I think this New Mexico team is quite miserably bad. I looked at the box score against Sam Houston State that they had last week. Both these teams coming off a bye, by the way. So and it was pretty abysmal. They gave up a lot of yards to Sam Houston. Sam Houston's a good FCS team.
They gave up almost 600 yards.
Yeah, I mean that is a very good FCS team. I'm nothing against Sam Houston, but that's just too many yards to be giving up. And again, I think Davey is a dreadful head coach. Again, not there this week, I get that, but he's dreadful. He will be fired after this year. He should have been fired after last year or 2 years ago or whenever, but never been hired in the first place, really. But
they were, 2-10 last year?
Yeah, it's just a joke. So
they're not as bad as New Mexico State, though.
That's very likely true. Yes, that is true.
I'm trying to find a silver lining.
No, that is a silver lining.
Yeah. If he's going to get fired, he has to go in and state his case. We're not as bad as New Mexico State.
Yes,
they're pretty awful.
I like what Notre Dame's doing on offense. I think finally he went to Ian Book last year, who was clearly the better quarterback over Wimbush, who really can't throw the ball at all. So
I know.
Yeah, well, sorry.
He already got benched.
I understand. So, Yeah, this is a kind of a classic case of really good team, I think, versus very bad team, and then we have the big line here. I don't know. Are they looking ahead to Georgia? Maybe a little bit, but they're coming off a bye. They're probably going to be ready to play here. So, if I had to bet it, I mean, I guess I'm with you guys. I guess I'd bet the under here, just because I don't know. I mean, is New Mexico going to be able to score here? I know their offense is decent, but I don't know. So, I guess I'd bet the under. But Notre Dame, I'm sure, will roll relatively easily.
I got to play, boys.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm laying the points.
Notre Dame? Nice.
I want to believe both teams, and going back again, this is all connected to Georgia. I want to take Georgia with the points. I feel like they may be more of in a practice for the game, practice in a game mode. I think Notre Dame, after the Louisville game, they were sloppy in the first half and did just enough to really put it out of reach and have a respectable score.
That's true.
I think you're going to want to see both teams riding high into this game because it's going to be probably a game day matchup next week, a college game day matchup. So I'm thinking that Notre Dame, again, tough to score. I agree with you. I'm thinking Notre Dame puts up somewhere in the 50s, and New Mexico 7 to 10 points. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking 55-10. That's about where I'm at. So I am going to lay 5 touchdowns, and you know exactly what I'm also going to do.
Tease it.
Fucking A.
Yes. Where would we be without a big teaser?
Uh-huh. Mom's a big teaser.
Wow. Nice. That's nice.
All right, let's move on into the afternoon games. Again, because I'm really not good with time, both analog or digital. So, let's talk about Memphis, because although they beat Southern by 30, they only beat Southern by 30 after their huge win in the Liberty Bowl against Ole Miss. I don't understand this for the life of me. When I'm at work, I work nights. You guys know that. And usually the early morning sports center, closer to the weekend, brings on Paul Feinbaum and his oddly shaped Mr. Burns head.
God.
And the week after Memphis beat Ole Miss, they said that Memphis was an upper echelon caliber group of 5 team, which I don't necessarily disagree with. However, when UCF, for 3 straight matchups in a row, destroyed them, they said Memphis was not worthy competition. So what is it?
It's a joke.
What is it, you fuck? I'm so sick of that alien-headed motherfucker. But it's the only thing on at work. So, anyways, my point being is that the narrative seems to consistently change with ball washers like him. Nevertheless, they are facing one of my favorite teams to not watch, just to associate my betting with. Only reason I don't know why. It's because they're the University of South Alabama, so I feel patriotic when their nickname or their abbreviated name comes up because it's USA. Again, that was a long-winded way to just say that their abbreviated name is USA. Other than that, I could really give
Or are they the Cougars?
Jaguars.
Jaguars, okay.
Yeah, they're the Jaguars, which is the weirdest thing. The Southern Alabama, there's no Jaguars. I guess there's no Jaguars in Jacksonville either, though.
Nowhere.
Because usually you're supposed to have a name somewhat
to,
representative.
yeah.
I mean, I guess there's no Tigers in Memphis.
There's no more
I guess there's
Wolverines in Michigan, but there used to be.
Well, there used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know.
Maybe at one point
there may be
Jaguars.
a Tiger in Memphis. Who knows?
There are jackrabbits in South Dakota, though.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. And eventually you have 130 teams and plus so many other division teams that you're going to have. I mean, fucking Stanford's mascot's a tree.
That is Stanford, though. They are out there a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't think there's a lot of pirates in Eastern Carolina either. So, anyways, back to the point. Memphis is laying 18.5 in this spot on the road, 55.5. That total is driving down. It opened up at 63. Memphis in a tune-up game for conference play here, and USA, Southern Alabama, did give Nebraska a test in week 1. Chance we see that again versus Memphis?
I say no. I do think that South Alabama is one of the worst teams in the Sun Belt, which is certainly
saying much for Nebraska.
Yeah, no, that doesn't. That's
what I'm saying. It isn't saying much.
Yeah, because I think Nebraska was really bad in that game, and they're just not playing very well right now. And whether that changes or not, I have no idea. I know the talent's there. It's just, I don't know. I'm not the biggest believer in the head coach. Okay, it doesn't matter. But yeah, So Memphis is interesting because I do think that they did beat a quality team in Ole Miss, but that team, though, has 2 new coordinators, and they are the 2 worst hires, I think, that were made from at least the coordinators and stuff that I've studied and that I know, just because they're both former head coaches, and I just can't see the dichotomy here with Matt Luke, who's like playing for his job, and yet he's got 2 coordinators that have been longtime head coaches. Mike McIntyre and Rich Rod, which is really strange. So I do think that there's going to be a lot of time. If it's going to work in Ole Miss, it's going to take some time. And I think that was one of those. That was a game that it clearly didn't work at all.
You see Rich Rod taking over in that spot too.
Sadly, yes. if it was to happen, that would be extremely sad. What a terrible hire for Ole Miss if they do. But yes,
somehow he keeps failing up.
It's unbelievable. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm not putting a ton of stock into that win. I'm with you though. I think Memphis is a very good team, a high quality team. I
like Brady White.
Well into it. Yeah, I mean he's good. He's a good quarterback. Absolutely. Now Patrick Taylor, their star running back, is going to be out again for this game. So
correct.
That is meaningful. However, I don't think that it negates the fact that they're playing a really bad South Alabama team, which I don't put a whole lot of stock in on both sides of the ball. They are still rebuilding completely as well.
Well, you had Gainwell with 85 and 2 touchdowns last week, again, versus Southern, but, you know.
So, yeah, we'll see.
Can only play who's in front of you.
We'll see what he is, what he looks like against South Alabama. And, again, hopefully he continues to make strides here because it looks like Taylor might be out for a little while. But, yeah, for me, if I had to play this game, I would lay the points here on Memphis just because, more so for the fact I'm not a believer in South Alabama, and I do think that Memphis is a top echelon type of team, no matter what type of conference you want to put them in. I think they're a very good team. So that's where I would be, but I'm not going to play the game. But Memphis would be the play if I had to.
Time to play the game.
Yeah, no play for me either, but lean towards Memphis minus the points.
Right on. Yeah, I got nothing. I like Memphis, and I like USA. I'm very patriotic, so. But not Southern Alabama. I like the United States. All right. Speaking of Bama, they travel to South Carolina to face the Gamecocks. And actually, wasn't 100% paying attention to the schedule, and I thought, man, Bama is scheduling USC on the road? Like, there's no way. They don't schedule that tough of an opponent. And then I forgot about South Carolina.
You're right.
Yeah, no, I was right. So, all right, since I'm bringing the fun facts today, you guys ready for another one?
Can't wait.
All right, this is the first meeting between these two teams since 2010. South Carolina won 35-21 behind Stephen Garcia. Another fun fact, I went to high school with Stephen Garcia.
Oh.
Third fun fact of this just short anecdote, that was the last SEC East team to beat Alabama.
Exciting stuff.
How fucking crazy is that? 9 years. And I understand they only play a handful, but they've played Georgia, they've played Florida, they've played what's left of Tennessee.
There's not much left.
And fourth fun fact of this, or that might have been the fourth or fifth fun fact.
Who's counting?
Since Saban took the head coach at Alabama, he has only lost to the SEC East 3 times, and none of those times is Georgia.
Wow.
Tennessee in 2007, Florida in 2008, and South Carolina in 2010.
Wow.
The SEC East sucks.
It's definitely worse in the West, for sure. Yes, I wouldn't say it sucks, but I mean,
it's not terrible.
Definitely
it still has 3 ranked teams right now, doesn't it? At least 2.
Got to be at least 2. Oh, yeah, it's got to be, for sure.
Well, it's 2. It's Florida and Georgia.
There's got to be somebody else, right?
Missouri was ranked. I think they fell out.
Maybe not.
I think they fell out, yeah.
Could be right.
So anyways, all right, fun fact anecdotes are over. And now we get into the game. South Carolina is a home dog of 25.5 points with a total of 61.5. Roll Tide roll, or what are we looking at here? We've got a new quarterback, even though he played last week in, what's his name, Helinski?
Yes.
Helinski?
Tyler Helinski.
No. Ryan Helinski. Tyler Helinski's brother. Tyler Helinski was from Washington State.
You're right. You're dead right, yes.
He was 24 of 30 for 282 and 2 touchdowns against Charleston Southern in the 72-10 victory. But Charleston Southern and Alabama, I believe, are just slightly different talent levels. Not much, but a little bit.
Yeah, well, this is play number 4 for me. And
play number
so
4.
4-1 compared from me to you. That is a rarity.
That is a rarity.
Time, but yeah, we're going to go
Well,
with
the
it.
debates were on last night. No one gave straight answers, so I feel like I'm being the politician.
Fair
here.
enough. Okay. And this is a rare type of play for me. I don't usually bet on big favorites, especially Alabama, because they're just a very hard team to bet on because you are paying a premium if you're betting on Alabama. There are some points, I think, added to the top just because they know they're going to get a lot of money on it. And again, I know I'm paying a premium here, but to me, I think this is a great spot for them for a few reasons. Number one, the loss in 2010, obviously none of the players were there. None of the other coaching staff was there. Nobody really cares. I get that.
There's only one guy there.
There's only one guy there, but that guy actually does care. And he's talked before.
He's super salty at the media.
Yes, and he did that this week. He's done that in previous times. I mean, any time a team has not played well, whether they won or lost, he has wanted to revenge that type of game, whether it's internally or not. But I think he means so much to this team, and everything that he says and does is so important to this this team that I just think, that I think it's really meaningful. So I do think that matters a little bit, as weird as that is. And to me, I love where one team is going. They're again rising to the top like they have been for many years. South Carolina, to me, is going the opposite direction. So they have a very poor head coach, in my opinion, who is maybe a very fine coordinator, but a clear example of the Peter principle, where he just is never going to be a good head coach. And I think he's really bad in game and just not good. Helinski, yes, is however much of a drop off he is. I don't like how Bentley isn't playing in this game. I actually liked how Bentley had been developing as a quarterback. I thought it was actually a really, really important position for South Carolina, even though it necessarily hasn't been in recent years. They're more defense-minded. This one I really thought mattered, and so the fact that he's now not playing for the rest of the season, essentially, I think, is a big deal. So I think Alabama will roll maybe relatively early. I don't know. I know it's a very popular bet to bet the first half, things like that for Alabama.
About that, yeah.
I'm not going to get into that. They're going to play. Starters will be out there the entire game. They're going to go full throttle here. I'm just betting the regular game. 25.5. We're going to go ahead and lay the points. I think I got a 25.
So not only does Tony Johnson have 4 picks, he's got unorthodox picks.
Yes,
in terms of Tony Johnson land.
that is true. Although the first 3 were underdogs, so yes, in that sense.
I just meant you have a very unorthodox.
I know
pick.
this is a weird one.
Laying 25
with Alabama, but I think they are the way better team here. I know that's not saying very much, but that's what I believe.
I actually have 2 plays for this game.
Oh, token, yes.
Wow. I have no play, so you guys are storming ahead of me.
We are.
Alabama minus points, first half and for the game.
Oh,
minus 16 for the first half. I think
I don't see it, but I'm going to root for you guys. I don't see it. I
24-3, maybe 24-7.
I feel like everything Nick Saban said at face value, I believe, and I think he's going to want to get out of there, similar to the Duke game. And if the backups for Alabama are that much better than South Carolina, then you guys are probably pretty good. And but that's a lot of points.
We're not going to see backups. When are we going to see backups in this game? Really? You think we're going to see
the 4th this quarter?
I think if your bets are coming through, we're going to see backups. That's what I'm saying. But I think this game actually stays closer. I think they still win by 3 touchdowns, but 3 touchdowns does not cover 25.5. But again, you guys have the bets, and I'm rooting for you. So, all right, the other USC takes on BYU over there in Provo. And Tony Johnson, it's Kedon Slovis time. Or Kedon, how do you say his name?
Kedon, I think. That's how I heard them pronounce it, I think, on TV, yeah.
He is the Kurt Warner protege.
Ooh.
Everybody is
interesting.
Yeah, he was coached by Kurt Warner in high school. Everybody's high on this kid, except for rivals, apparently, because he was only a 3-star athlete coming out of Arizona.
He was also 4th string like 2 months ago, so yes.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just saying. But,
I mean, he's a true freshman who beat out a couple quarterbacks and is now getting his spot. And
one transferred, but yes. Jack Sears didn't transfer. I think Sears would be the quarterback right now.
Okay.
Nonetheless.
Fair enough. Nevertheless, it is Kedon Slovis time, like I said before. We have a line that I hate when this page refreshes because now it just went away.
I see 4.
4 ball.
Yeah.
Yep. I see a USC 4-point favorite on the road, 56.5. BYU is coming off of an overtime game against Tennessee where they walked in there and beat them. But I feel bad for underbackers on that BYU-Tennessee game. I really do. But nevertheless, we're in a new week here. And USC has snuck into the top 25, and they are facing BYU.
Yeah, no play for me if I had to lean BYU plus the points, if not even maybe a little sprinkle on the money line.
This is the battle of the two, maybe of the worst coaches in FBS football. They're both some of the worst in-game coaches that there is. They both will not have a job at the end of the season, in my opinion, and I dislike both teams immensely going forward. So I'm really positive on this game. If I had to really take one, I don't know. I think USC played out of their mind in the second half last game. So my guess is that there'll be some sort of regression. BYU is a tough place to play. I don't know, but the BYU does not have a good team though either. So I guess I'd take the points here. But if you've been laying points on USC in the last 5 or 6 years, you've been absolutely getting throttled. So I just don't want to be laying points at all with USC anymore. And I'm taking BYU, but I hate both coaches immensely.
Fair enough. That's a very optimistic take on the game.
Thank you.
I mean, what do we make of BYU beating Tennessee? I mean,
not much.
Yeah, exactly. And they got trounced by Utah, which we know Tony Johnson loves.
Oh. Hard on for Utah.
I mean, got a hard on for the Mormons.
But not these Mormons, though.
Not these Mormons, but other Mormons. Yeah, I mean, this kid, they're it's probably way too soon, but they're saying that this kid may have a season kind of like Trevor Lawrence, but I don't.
Oh God.
Yeah, Tony Johnson's not saying that apparently, but this is a tough one. I mean, no matter what BYU is as far as talent, going into Provo is tough, and he's a true fresh, and it'll be interesting. I think I'm going to lay the 4, although I don't love it, but I think actually USC's defense will be the reason that they cover this spread. I think it's going to be not a blowout. I think it's going to be a close game with the potentially. If you got the backdoor cover where the underdog comes in, what do you have? What's the cover where the favorite's not covering in like a pick six or a scoop and score? Is that still a backdoor?
I would say so.
Okay, I didn't know.
Backdoor win cover?
Well, no, they were winning.
Favorite or dog?
They were winning by like 2, and BYU's driving, and the quarterback fumbles it, and they run it scoop and score.
Backdoor cover to me, yeah.
Is that backdoor cover too? I thought that was only when the dog, it was a 21-point dog gets back in within 18. So, anyways, I think you're looking at something along the lines of like 28-21 or something around there. So I will take my second pick, USC -4.
All right.
Sweet. All right. Now, here's one I thought was weird, and then I did a little bit more research, and it's not terribly strange. But Western Kentucky and Louisville are playing a game in Nashville. Now, Western Kentucky is in Bowling Green, Kentucky, which is about 4 hours from Nashville, and Louisville's about 6 hours. But unless you're telling me that in the middle of September, when school's in session and people work, you're going to get both of these fan bases to travel to Nashville, Tennessee, because I don't think there's a large contingent of Western Kentucky or Louisville fans in Nashville, Tennessee. The scheduling location just is weird to me. I mean, I know that has no bearing on the spread or anything like that. Louisville's a 10-point favorite here with a 50 as a total. I just wanted to...
I'd say probably Louisville fans probably would travel more for this game.
They got to go farther. That's the thing. I think Western Kentucky fans might travel more because Louisville may say, we're playing Western Kentucky. We should beat them. It's in Nashville. I can catch it on the TV. I'm more of thinking that Western Kentucky might have more fans in this game. And last year, I think the Cardinal team this year is a better team than last year. But the Hilltoppers almost beat them last year. 20-17 was the score last year. I think Jawan Pass is a better player this year. I think he's the best player on the field. So no play, but. My fun fact was just I thought this was weird to put this game in Nashville.
Yeah. Agreed. My line, I came up with one, is 12. for Louisville. It opened at like 8. I really should have gotten.
It did.
It
opened up 7.5.
Yeah, I'm kicking myself. This is the one game I'm kicking myself this week because I don't look at the lines when they first come out. I usually wait a couple days, and this one I would have been on quickly. And
I remember Monday night.
I was upset about talking about that. So yeah, I'm a little bit salty about that. And the thing is, I think you're exactly right, Aaron. I think that Juwan Pass is we're finally seeing the talent really rise because we have a high quality head coach in there with Satterfield coming over from Appalachian State, and we're already seeing this Louisville team look completely different from last year, and we're seeing this finally emerge, this quality team that they really should be. Again,
coming
we're
off a bye
in
week,
progress. Too. Yeah, and they played pretty well against Notre Dame too. Notre Dame was a good team, so yeah, I like what we're seeing from Louisville here. Western Kentucky's in a complete rebuild. They are in relative free fall. They lost to an FCS team earlier this season. I just think that this is going to probably go one-sided here. Again,
oh wait, they're not coming off a bye. Just kidding, I read that wrong.
My line is close, so I don't tend to bet those games where my handicap is sort of close to what the real line is, and I feel like I already missed a lot of the great spot. But if I have to bet this one, obviously based on what I've said, I'm going to be on the Louisville wagon here.
Yeah, no play for me particularly, but I think you're right. I think they're a far better team, and despite the fact that I think Western Kentucky might have more fans, that probably doesn't matter. So,
yeah, lean towards Louisville, but no play.
Cool. All right, game day site, Iowa at Iowa State.
Oh, that's where they're at? That's cool.
That's where they're at.
Interesting.
Iowa is a 1.5 point favorite. This line has actually crossed 0, opened up Iowa State -3. We are down to 42.5 on a total here. We know about Iowa State, their 3 overtime game against Northern Iowa. But they got some talent there. Purdy's not bad.
Oof.
What?
Oh, yes, I'm just agreeing, yes.
Oof.
I just love this game.
Buzz, your girlfriend. I think this game is going to be close. I think this game comes down to maybe who has the ball last, and that's not always been the case here, especially.
It's probably somebody from Iowa.
Well, I mean,
all right, what button turns his mic off?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably a good read token, unless the refs just take the ball and go home.
That'd be too funny.
I don't know why. I've always rooted for Iowa. I have no vested interest in them. For some reason, I don't know if it's a black and gold thing, which is totally shallow, but I've never been high on Iowa State, even when they've had decent years. I don't have a play, but I think Iowa walks in there and beats them by, like I said, they may have maybe because they have the last ball, but I think it's going to be something like 31-27, something like that.
I do have a play on this game.
Oh!
And it's that the guy from Iowa scores the winning touchdown.
No, just regular Iowa, the Hawkeyes will cover this game.
Cover the 1.5?
Cover the 1.5. Realistically, I could see this almost going to 3 by the time kickoff, so
6-point swing in a week.
That's quite a bit, but
that would be interesting.
Yeah. I think just Iowa State, the Cyclones are way overrated. They struggle. They might be able to keep it close, but Iowa probably wins this game by a touchdown.
Yeah. The only thing I will disagree with there is I do think we've seen the highest the line will go. I think the line, it's already moving back towards Iowa State here. From what I see, it got to 2.5, and now I'm seeing a lot of 1s and 1.5s now. So my guess is I think that's the highest we'll see it at. These are 2 really evenly matched teams. They do it differently certainly, but I like both teams a lot. I mean, this game is fantastic. The one thing to note, I think, is Iowa State's lost 4 or 5 in a row in this series, and that is a bit of a shocker. And I'm not necessarily saying that it's a must-win type of thing for them, but I think in a rivalry like this, you should win a game, here and there, and not be it like a Michigan-Ohio State type of thing. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it's a great game. I love both teams. immensely. I could not figure out a play here. There's a lot of people that have strong opinions in this game, which is fascinating to me because I've heard from both sides. I've heard the token side, which is the majority, that seem to like Iowa best, and then some other people are sort of taking the other side of they've had a week off, Iowa State, and maybe they're a little bit undervalued here because of how badly they played against Northern Iowa. Although they outgained Northern Iowa by like 200 yards, but. Yeah, I don't know. I do think it'll be a great and close game. I have absolutely no pick. I will root for Token here.
You don't think Michigan-Ohio State's a good rivalry?
Well, the other team has to win at some point. But I'm just saying that if it stops becoming a rivalry if one team always wins. And
what do you think the series record is of that?
Oh, I'm sure it's very close. I'm just saying in the last 10 years, the games have not been close. So to me, that
kind of like the Ohio State
ceases becoming a rivalry.
Ohio State does have a seven game win streak. I can't think of the right word.
I'm exaggerating that one, but I'm just saying that.
I think UK Florida would be the one where you say somebody has to win. And maybe what were we talking about before? Ohio State Indiana game, 24 straight.
Yeah, but those aren't really. I mean, those are just conference games. They're not really rivalries. But yeah, I mean,
what's the rivalry in this one? Like 44 to 22.
Okay.
And Iowa has a 4-game winning streak.
Yeah, I think it'll be a close game. I mean, I'll root for Token. I don't have any season wins or anything like that on this. I guess any time a Big 12 team loses probably helps me because I got some Big 12 futures not on Iowa State. So I guess that would be it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on to Stanford versus UCF. And I have not had a rant yet in the first 2 weeks.
That's true. You are kind of in need of one now, probably.
And I don't have one this week.
Okay. Wow.
Nothing really crazy to go.
Do you think it's a good line?
Wait till week 5.
I don't love it. I don't think the line should be this large.
Really?
Yeah.
Because my number is like 9.5 or 10. The one I came up with.
No, I think Stanford. I think what we saw them do with against USC, Shaw's going to clean that shit up real quick, in my opinion. And currently the line is 9. So
I thought it opened low. I felt like I missed that one too.
This game actually opened up as Stanford as a favorite, but that was months ago.
I mean this week, yes.
This week has been steamed. I think this week it opened up at like 7.
Yeah, I should have bet it then.
It's been steamed up to 9.
Yeah.
The reason, like I said, I think David Shaw is going to take the week and clean that up. The West traveling east, I don't love because this unfortunately for UCF will be a noon game for Stanford. If this game was a 9 a.m. Theoretical Pacific start for them, I would feel a little bit more better about them not being awake for it. As impressed as I am with freshman Dylan Gabriel, again, I'll be the first to admit, we've played FAMU and we've played Florida Atlantic. Now, I know Florida Atlantic played Ohio State, and the score was closer than the actual game indicated, blah, blah, this. We can go on and play the transitive property until we're blue in the face. I mean,
sounds like fun.
Your 3 options are a true freshman going against a Power 5 opponent and a team that should have a pretty good defense, and again, gets the benefit of this game being at noon in their time and not 9 o'clock. You also have the fact that you have Brandon Wimbush, who I don't like at all in the game. And you have Darryl Mack, who probably should be playing this game, but the fact of the matter is he has had 0 reps this year until this week in practice. He's the best quarterback of all 3, but he might be the rustiest. So I don't love the quarterback situation for UCF. They have 3 competent options, but none of them I'm super confident in. Confident. Just want to make sure I
like Wimbush the least out of these 3.
Absolutely. I think for me, if I had to look at this objectively, I think for me it's got to be Gabriel Mack Wimbush. And I think Gabriel has to have a short leash, although you really don't want to kill his confidence. But if you get Gabriel in against this and he has trouble, that gives you the chance to get Mack back in the game, 1. Because, again, as much as you're talking about trying to play for a New Year's Six bowl and trying to play for bigger things, maybe a playoff, we'll see. You got conference to win. And if Dylan Gabriel struggles, this may be the the indication they need to get him redshirted, because they can still redshirt him at this point, and Darryl Mack can go forward as the starter, and Wimbush is, fine as a backup if you need him in there. So my guess would be to start Gabriel, see how it goes. He'll be on a shorter leash than expected, probably for a game against any other team like Florida Atlantic or FAMU. But I think this game's close. I think I don't know. I think it's slow. I think it's low scoring and close. And I actually think I'll make a bold prediction. UCF's 30-plus point streak is snapped this game. I think we're looking at like 27-26. Like, I think they win the game, but I think it's close.
Interesting.
I'm still not betting on it, though. I'm not.
Yeah,
I got enough invested in this game. I'm not betting on it.
Yet.
Yet. Plus, Costello is back, too.
If
they had their backup quarterback
and all that.
if they were rolling with what's his fuck? What was his name?
I forgot his name already.
David Mills or whatever his name is.
I don't remember.
Whatever his name is, backup quarterback, Stanford backup quarterback. If they're rolling with him, I'd feel a little more confident. But they're rolling. Costello's back, and not that he's head and shoulders, but he is the first team quarterback, so you got to feel better about that. 27-26, UCF wins. The streak goes on, and the streak of 30-plus points in 28 straight games is broken.
I think they win, and I think they score more than 30. I think they win this game 31-21. Not a play for me yet, but could possibly happen. No faith in Stanford.
Well, I like hearing your score predictions from both of you, because this is my favorite play of the week. And I have the under, and picked it up. This is one of those we got, I think, a little bit fortunate with, although waited and got 61.5, and we're already down to 60.5. I got a 59.5 out there. So my prediction when I handicap with these things, I think it'll close at around 58. Maybe 58.5. I don't know.
What'd you get it at?
Probably 58. 61.5.
Okay.
Love the under here for multiple reasons. You guys have actually pretty much named them. The quarterback situation is a little bit odd at UCF, so I'm a little bit concerned there.
Have you ever seen a 3-quarterback system?
No, not that I
know.
remember.
Token loves the 2
for like a
quarterback
quality team.
For like a quality team.
Yeah. No, I have not. I've never seen it.
I can't imagine Heupel at any point believes he's going to start Wimbush. So I think it's either got to be you roll with Gabriel,
yes,
or you put Mack in because he's the most experienced.
Agreed.
With this,
I think it's 100%. That's exactly how I would be looking at it. Yeah, I'm guessing yes.
The thing is like if either one of them trot out there, I'll be okay with it and kind of pissed by it. As weird as it is, I want to see Gabriel develop.
Yes.
But if you put them out there and they get too far behind, they get down by 21. I mean,
you have to go with somebody else.
You got to go with Mack. And should you have gone? It's almost like okay, coach is human, but you really got to make the right decision here.
Yeah,
that's part of being a coach.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a tough spot. I'm not exactly sure what the right answer is either. I don't think it's Wimbush, but
we know what it's not. Yeah,
I don't know what the right answer is. I do think that Stanford will rebound defensively. I think this is a little bit of an easier game to prepare for defensively. I know that even with the different quarterbacks, that's still USC's air raid offense is still relatively new, and that was a brand new quarterback too, and I think they were caught a little bit off guard, rare for against a Stanford team. But yeah, I do think they'll rebound here. Costello will help this team. I think they'll play a lot more ball control against this type of team. This will be a classic David Shaw type of game where they can sit on the ball for a while and hopefully get some first downs. Again, don't sleep on UCF's defense. I think it is a little bit better than given credit for. So, yeah, I mean, to me, talent-wise, this is one of those games where I think they finally got it right with the line here. Just because one team plays in one conference versus a Power 5 conference, the talent is probably better on UCF if you look at up and down pretty much at most positions. So, yeah, I mean, I think the line is right where it should be now. I just feel like the under is a definite play here. Also, there should be a lot of wind in this game, too. They said gusts up to 25 miles an hour. And
there's
should be
a
some
tropical
rain.
storm or tropical depression out.
So we'll see if there's
Atlantic.
lightning. Obviously, that would delay the game. That wouldn't help the under. But I do think that if the lightning stays away and we just have a lot of wind, and wind is really the most important thing, that I really like the under here a lot, but more so for what's going on in the game. Just don't like either team scoring a ton of points.
They got lightning in Tampa. We'll see if they have some in Orlando.
Yeah. That's it. Yep, we've covered.
Yeah.
Damn, I thought somebody was going to get that. It was a hockey joke.
No, I got it.
Oh, okay.
I just wasn't going to give you credit for it.
Oh, fuck off. I'm proud that he's remained relatively non-gassy today.
Yeah, no, I feel good about that. Yep. Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah.
There's not a lot of windows in the studio.
Yeah. I'm also further away, though.
Less
from
windy
him,
in
so
here.
it does.
All right. I got a bone to pick with you, Tony Johnson.
Yes.
Other than the fact that you just banged the mic. I tailed you with North Texas last week.
Oh, boy.
So you got some splaining to do.
Yeah, that's the game that I've looked at, and I've gone through the play-by-play. I've tried to figure it out, and
They were blasted.
yeah, they got
by
blasted
SMU.
right from the get-go. Yeah. I mean, they got it within 10 points at one point, but yeah, that was it was only a short while, and yeah, no, it was not ideal. So again, from what I've heard from Seth Luttrell, and I paid pretty close attention this week. He's taking it as a learning experience. You know, the non-anger sort of just like we'll learn, we'll get better. He said he felt like they got a little bit too up for the game, and it was a little bit too much, a little overdone. And he's taking
Which is crazy because let's not get ridiculous. It's SMU.
It's SMU, right? I mean, it's just the close proximity.
I
and
get
the,
that.
Yeah,
I mean, they could make it
recruiting
into
the
a
same
rivalry.
guys. Yeah, exactly. Because it's all the players know each. It's all relatively the same area. So yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate in that sense. So in regards to, I assume we're going to the Cal game. The Cal North Texas game?
That is correct. I was
Yeah.
just giving you a chance to explain last week.
Yeah, no,
But,
I
we're
have
going
no
to North
explanation.
Texas and Cal.
It was just a total miss.
But you're
Total
getting
miss.
14 points with
Yeah.
your mean green here.
Yeah.
Traveling to Berkeley, coming off of that big win against UW, which you did call. So nice call on that one. You made a bold prediction about that last week.
Yeah. I mean, that was nice to see. That was the game that was delayed and finished like at 1 a.m. our time, so which
That's
was kind of
true.
weird.
Yes, that
but
is true.
yeah. So this one I actually haven't played it yet. This is the one I'm waiting on until Kingdom Come here. Hopefully it keeps moving up. But I want to play North Texas money line here, and the reason for this is that I feel like we're going to see one of two things. We're going to see Cal continuing just shut the door on people defensively, and they'll win by whatever, low double digits, and just sort of dominate games, and they'll dominate North Texas like they dominate a lot of teams, and that's fine. Or we'll see North Texas rebound really well, have a great offensive game, and a great offensive game from these guys. They can compete with anybody. So to me, I think there's a little bit of value with the money line, and the biggest one I see is plus 500 right now. I'm waiting and hopefully can find maybe a 550, 600 would be ideal. I don't know how the line's going to go. I really have no idea.
Careful with sharp money coming back.
Yeah, I have no idea. Exactly. I honestly have no idea where this line's going to go. Sometimes I'm pretty confident where a line will move. This one I don't know. So if it doesn't go to where I want it to go, no problem. It'll be a no play. But for me, I'm looking at North Texas money line if it gets to a number I like.
No play for me in this game.
Yeah, I got nothing to do. This one was strictly for Tony Johnson.
Got it.
All right, let's move to the late games.
Oh, you missed one I liked in the afternoon.
Jump in, Toby.
Oh, go ahead.
Jump in.
Sparty on this one. I got it at 13.5. I think it's now currently 14.5.
Yeah, you got a great line.
Yeah.
Really well done.
I still even like it at 14.5. Spartans over Arizona State.
All right, fair enough. You see the schedule in front of you of what I wanted to talk about. I mean, I forgot one.
I'm chiming in.
Yeah, fair enough. All right.
I also like the Golden Gophers a little, too. Minus the points against...
Minus 14 against Gasso? Actually,
16.5. Yeah.
Not a slouch when it comes to... what are they, Sunbelt?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, you might have
I'm a huge fan of the Gophers as well. That's another play of mine. I didn't know, I was supposed to jump in or not.
Yeah, jump in. If you've got plays other than
Shea
what
Wertz
we've got here.
is questionable playing the game, and if he doesn't play, which I think is possible because they have a bye next week and it was a concussion type of thing, that line should move, based on my rankings, 4 to 5 points. I think that's the drop-off from Shea Wertz to the backup quarterback who has no experience, and Wertz is really good. So I think that the unknowing until maybe game time if he's going to play or not, plays absolutely Minnesota here. I think they'll be prepared really well for this type of offensive attack. They're really, really fast on the edge. Minnesota I like a lot this game.
Did you guys have any other plays as far as afternoon or earlies?
I do not, no.
Bowling Green
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Okay.
Who are they playing?
Louisiana. They're playing home against Louisiana Tech. Spread's 11.5. I might just dump the spread and take them on the money line.
Bowling Green.
Bowling Green.
They're a train wreck.
Wow. Yeah, that is. I agreed. Explain.
I just think they're way.
My name is Token Tony, and I make stupid decisions.
I'm betting Bowling Green. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're a pretty bad MAC team, but that adds some value in this game.
No, they're not terrible. They're not
terrible, but they're pretty bad.
La Tech has not looked great this year. I will say that. That is for sure.
I hear Terry Bradshaw suiting up for La Tech this week, so you might have a shot with Bowling Green money line.
Sweet.
All right, anyone or any other random play you want to throw out there?
No, I'm good.
That was pretty good.
I'd like
that.
Idaho.
No, I don't like that game.
All right, let's move into the late games. Start with the University of Florida versus the University of Kentucky. Talked about it earlier, but Kentucky finally snapped what was a 31-game winning streak. That's crazy. I mean, 31 years of getting drubbed, and I don't think there were too many close games in that 31-game winning streak either. The spread right now is Florida -8 on the road, with a total of 48. Felipe Franks is starting to enter people's dark horse long shot Heisman. He's currently at 100-1 at William Hill. And whether I agree with that or not is irrelevant, but in this spot right here, can he cover the 8 points from against a UK team who is missing their starting quarterback?
More than likely, they will cover the 8. No play for me yet, but if I had to lean, that would be my choice.
Yeah, this will be a play for me, very likely. I haven't actually made it yet. I was hoping that Kentucky money would come in at some point here, and I'd be able to get this around 7. I'm not sure it's going to get down to 7, but we can only hope. So that was at least the goal. There's a couple of takes here on this one. First off, I am one of those people that believes in Felipe Franks. I actually do have him. He's one of the couple of long shots I have for the Heisman. I am at 300-1, which is nice. But I think he's an incredibly underrated quarterback who plays with a lot of confidence and on a team where he's given a great chance to succeed. In the Dan Mullen offense, I mean, quarterbacks thrive, and he's one of those with a great skill set to make a lot of sense, and now he's been there a couple of years. So I do like that spot for him. But getting past Felipe Franks, it's more Kentucky that I'm concerned about here. So Terry Wilson, while not a good quarterback himself, and again, another guy can't really throw the ball very well. He is now gone, and Sawyer Smith will be stepping in. So I did rank Sawyer Smith early on because I thought there was a chance that Wilson wouldn't even necessarily make it through the year, non-injury-wise. And he was a really, really high-quality quarterback out of high school who was not as dual threat. He's more of a pocket passer, pro-style.
Played for Troy last year.
Yeah. So I do think that the fit makes some sense if you adjust the offense a little bit, and I'm not quite sure they can do that quickly, especially against a very high-quality opponent here. I think there's going to be some mismatched plays, and there's going to be some difficult situations. My guess is down and distance will be a problem for them here on second and third down, and if you have issues trying to make first downs for more than 5-6+ yards against Florida, it is a recipe for disaster. It is one of the better defenses in the SEC. It's really, really underrated defense. And again, we know about Kentucky's losses. We know about the big loss at running back, big loss at defensive end. Just huge losses here that we haven't really seen because they've played 2 MAC teams at home to start. I think this is a true difficult test, and we haven't even seen close to Florida's best this year. They had all those graphically bad mistakes against Miami, and then they had a kind of a subpar weird game against an FCS opponent.
Subpar 45-0 victory.
Yeah, but they didn't look good. They were only up like 17 or 18 at the break. It just I didn't like the game. So I think we're going to see a lot better from Florida going forward. Hopefully it starts with this game. I think I'm going to be on Florida here at some point, but I'm just hoping the line goes down.
There's a way to make it go down.
Buying points?
Teasing.
Oh, teasing. Yes. Oh. I thought about if it gets to 7.5 buying. I hardly ever buy a point. but buying a half a point down to 7. But teasing doesn't interest me that much in college football.
Boo.
I know.
What is he doing?
I have no idea.
Seeing what's outside.
And ripping ass?
No, actually no.
What the for the middle of a podcast, you're looking out the window.
Dogs are happy.
Literally gets up, walks across the studio, and looks out the window. Anything going on out there?
Naked Ghost Ride.
Quiet day in the neighborhood here.
What a weirdo.
My name's Token, and I am very strange.
You're a weirdo. Yeah. All right, so let's move on. Oh wait, did you have a play on that? You did, right?
Yeah. Lean towards Florida minus the points.
I'm sorry, I'm so turned around here. All right, let's go to another one of my teams near and dear to my heart. Florida State traveling to the University of Virginia as a 7.5 point dog. It's hard. Well, I don't know what this really says about the state of Florida State football, but it's hard to feel happy about winning 45-44 against Louisiana Monroe. But at the same time, it's nice to know you're not 0-2. But speaking of that, not being 0-2, the Virginia Cavaliers are looking to go 3-0 for the first time since 2005. This is the first matchup for Taggart against this team, and generally it's gone well against Florida. Lately, against Virginia. Lately, it has not. The question I have really is: FSU winning this game here considered an upset? I understand the line. The line's a touchdown. Blah blah this, but I mean, FSU losing this game is definitely detrimental to Willie Taggart. Because it seems almost like FSU is expected to win this by their fans. So, realistically, if I don't, maybe to the fans, I don't know if they consider this an upset winning this game. Offense looks good, defense looks bad.
Yeah.
Recipe for the over here.
Well,
57.5.
the O-line is still a work in progress too.
They're
better.
Yeah, they're better than last year. Last year they were last 3 years they've been fucking terrible. I don't think a quarterback's walked out of there in the last half decade without. I mean, who was after Jameis? I forget. Actually, DeAndre Francois got torn up. James Blackman's getting torn up. Jameis got beat up a little bit, but that was over 5 years ago. But yeah, DeAndre Francois and James Blackman are having a hard time staying on their feet. Anyways, my question really is you believe that it's an upset if Florida State wins the game?
Oh, I mean,
marginally, but
yes, from a betting perspective, yes. But I mean, from a fan's perspective, people still. I mean,
yes.
Okay.
I
Short
agree.
answer, yes.
Yeah, because it's just. I mean, this Florida State team has so much more talent than Virginia, and the fact that Taggart can't seem to get things together properly, that he is just above his head, way above his head here. I think that's pretty obvious at this point. That if I was a Florida State fan. I mean, I would be quite upset with the fact that we have to be a 7 to 7.5 point underdog against Virginia.
No, my question is, not if they lose, would you be upset? If they win, is this considered an upset?
Again, as a Florida State fan, no, I would not consider it an upset. Because,
I guess I misheard.
I see what you mean. To me, you should be a favorite in this game. This is a conference team that you should be beating up on a regular basis. Because again,
they did for a while.
Yeah, well, I mean that's. Exactly. So I guess as a fan of that team, if you've been a fan for a while, you understand the quality years you should have and how the high quality recruiting that you're able to get. And Virginia not only doesn't have the same recruiting roots and where they're at,
pipeline,
but it's just academically it is more difficult at Virginia. So yeah, I mean it is not. It is a sad state of affairs if you are a Florida State fan that you are a 7-point underdog to Virginia.
I was actually going to ask that question, and I don't have the stats in front of me, and obviously we're probably not going to get the answer. I can't remember the last time Florida State was a touchdown underdog. Like
just in general?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they were. They were last year against
the
Gators, but I mean, consistently as a touchdown underdog to teams like Virginia. I'm not trying to poo-poo Virginia, but
I agree with you. That's the sad state of affair, and the line is right. It's a proper line to me. Like Virginia's a better team right now with a way better coach. And it makes a lot of sense. Again, I don't think Taggart makes it past this season. I think he's probably going to get fired. It was a very bad hire, looking back on it, and that's just the way it is. It's the unfortunate case. And then with Virginia, I think we're seeing the exact opposite. They found a guy that fits perfectly with the type of program that they want to have, and he's finally got the players that he wants to here on offense. And I mean, Perkins is a really high quality quarterback. You could make an argument he's the second best quarterback in the conference, and I think there's not really a whole lot of argument against that. And as a dual threat quarterback, he's the best in the conference. He's a tough guy to match up against. He's incredibly quick along the edge, and really a threat to run the ball for massive yardage really at any point. He's quite elusive too. So yeah, I think Virginia's a hard team to prepare for. I really like what they're doing on both sides of the ball, and a defense that's going to have a couple of NFL players too on it in the early rounds. I mean, there is some quality talent here now on this team, and Mendenhall's recruiting well for this area, so he's really crushing the DC area. And yeah, I mean, I'm impressed with what we're seeing here. No play for me, but I'm with you, and I think this is really a sad state that they're this much of an underdog, and it would feel like an upset to lose to a Virginia team, even though Virginia's a 7-point favorite.
No play. Yeah, that's
big token.
Yeah. It's like looking out the window or something.
You were metaphorically looking out the window right there.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Gun to the head,
I wish
I'd
we
probably
had this
take.
on video
Yeah,
too,
video
just to
would've
watch
been
his
good.
face, just like,
Oh, sure. That was great. That was pretty funny.
all right. Well, I don't have a play. I'm going to watch this game. Just
Me too.
going to be upset if they
gonna be a
lose,
good one.
even
It's
though
gonna
they're a
be a good
7.5
one.
point dog. Thought process would be on the over in this spot because FSU can definitely put up some points. So if Virginia's going to win this game,
sure.
they got to put them up too.
Yeah.
57.5 on that total. All right, moving forward, Clemson versus Syracuse. A 4-touchdown favorite on the road. Clemson has had trouble with Syracuse the last 2 years, although quarterbacks have gone down for the Tigers in both of those games. So that being said, Clemson's been stress-free to start the season, even though they played Texas A&M. They never really had trouble with them. But Trevor Lawrence has, quote-unquote, struggled this year, like I said earlier, for Trevor Lawrence standards or expectations. Even though he's 436 yards, 2 touchdowns, he has 3 interceptions. But like you said, the defense has been dominant. The running game has been fantastic. He hasn't needed to be spectacular. However, the last time Clemson was in this building, 1, Trevor Lawrence wasn't there, but 2, they walked away with a loss.
Yeah, and they could have easily lost last year too. Amazingly, at
Agreed.
home.
Yeah.
I think they'll rebound here in this game. Where we saw really Syracuse give it up very badly defensively last week, and
They didn't even spit on it. They just
yeah, it was wow, it was brutal. Really, really brutal work defensively here, and if they think Maryland is a tough team to match up against, I mean,
I can only imagine.
wait for Clemson. So yeah, I do think that Clemson will be really strong in this game. Again, I don't really want to play a 4-touchdown favorite on the road, but yeah, Clemson is the cream of the crop in this conference. I don't see anybody getting close to them at all. It's just they should be able to roll really easily in a lot of these games going forward, these conference games, where, as you said, we don't know where the numbers are going to come from, whether it's Lawrence or Etienne or wherever, but it'll be a sporadic difference each week, and I don't see them losing at all, or really even being close to losing anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't see this game being close at all, but that's a lot of points to cover for Clemson. I have a play on this one in under 64.5. I don't think Syracuse scores that much, and Clemson might take the throttle off, and they will probably run the ball quite a bit.
Probably true.
Yeah, no official play in this one, but I would probably take points at home if I'm Syracuse. Dino Babers seems to be doing something right, at least against Clemson. The question really is Tommy DeVito. Well, what are you going to get out of him? If he's any kind of halfway decent, they got a shot to keep it within the 4 touchdowns. So actually, I changed my mind. I'm probably going to make a play on this and go with take the 4 touchdowns at home.
Convince yourself.
Well, I was on the slight lean no play, but yeah, I'll probably throw it in there just for DGen's sake at that point. All right, so we've got TCU and Purdue. Boilermakers will be rolling without Elijah Sindelar in this game, and they are. Yeah, I think he's officially been ruled out.
I don't know that. Okay. I'm sure you're right. I hadn't checked in for the last couple of days. So, yeah.
All right. Well, TCU is a 2-point road favorite. I thought maybe there was
no. I'm
news.
assuming you're right. No, I usually I know I kind of know these things, but I don't. I hadn't looked for a couple of days. I honestly didn't know.
Yeah, he was doubtful for a long time with the concussion.
Mm-hmm.
But
fair enough.
But nevertheless, that obviously, actually, really, the line was already. The line was Purdue -2. Now the line is TCU -2.
They did move it. Yes, it looks like you're right. Yes, it did get moved here. So that is surprising. Wow, weird. Okay, well, whatever. Fair enough. Yeah, no, I don't have a play in this one. I'm a little bit biased. TCU's a team that I have quite a bit. I now have them to win the national championship at 150. And
TCU?
Yeah, I like TCU a lot this year. Yeah. I don't like the whole dual quarterback thing, although I think Dugan is eventually going to be the full-time starter. It looks like he's got the much better arm, and so I'm sure they'll go with him at some point fully here, and just Delton will mix in to run the ball here and there. But yeah, I like TCU a lot. This is one of the top 5 defenses I think in the entire country. Definitely the best defense in the Big 12, and to me, just getting to the Big 12 championship game with one loss gives you a chance. So I like TCU a lot. This is a game that I think they should win, but it is one of the toughest games on the schedule, including all of their conference games. I do think this is a very, very difficult test, and a test where it may not be looked at a lot at the end of the season if they win it, but this is certainly a very tough non-conference game that they've scheduled here. So I think it'll be back and forth, close game. I think TCU is just the better team.
Now they got Sindelar back to questionable here on Vegas Insider.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, just 2 really good coaches, 2 very high quality teams. I just think TCU's better, especially defensively. Well, there's no question they're better defensively. So that's the difference maker here is whether Sindelar plays or not. I mean, clearly that will make a difference. But even if Sindelar does play, he's going to have issues against this defense. This is one of, if not the best defense they will see all year. And
well, if he does play, does that line swing back to -2?
Probably swings back, or at least closer to a pick. Yeah, Again, I don't even know who the backup is on Purdue. I have not ranked their backup, so that means that he's probably a freshman, or he's probably somebody that has no reps, at all.
Jack Plummer.
Okay, that might be Jake's kid. Actually, I heard he had matriculated to one of those Big Ten schools, so I think that's his kid. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't have a play, but I'm going to be rooting hard for TCU. That's for sure.
It is his kid. You are correct.
And I got to use that word.
Oh, nope, it's not his kid.
It's not? Oh, okay.
Sorry. It's not his kid.
Okay.
Everyone thinks I'm Jake's son, but I am not related to him.
Got it. Okay.
He is from Arizona, ironically, though.
Yeah,
Gilbert, weird. Arizona.
That's strange.
That all sets up. It even looks like him, too. It looks maybe it's his bastard kid.
Maybe it might be just kind of snuck one in there, yeah.
Yeah, maybe he just had a Roethlisberger kind of night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Token has checked out of this thing.
You ready to go to bed?
I wish. Almost time for work.
Well, then speak.
TCU minus the points.
Yeah.
All right. Short, sweet, and to the point. All right, let's move to Texas and Rice. And the really only reason I put this game on the docket because I think it's probably going to be a whitewashing, although I don't know if the 32 is going to be covered. Is just to see what Texas does rebounding after that loss to LSU. Obviously, even with Rice, the conference is still very much in play, and winning this conference is obviously the key to getting to the college football playoff. So, when we talked about it last week, the LSU loss isn't season defining.
Oh yeah, no.
But what do we do now? Now we hit the restart button with Texas.
Yeah, it takes a hit.
Anyways, 32 and 55.5. No plays here, probably.
Rice money line.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, no play. I don't really like to bet Texas when they're a favorite. I'm more a fan of Herman when he's an underdog, although not including last week. But another one of the few bets that I did win. But
what was the final score of that game? They won by what?
They
10?
won by 7.
10, 7?
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I think Rice has improved this year. So I guess if anything, I would take the points. I'd take the 32 here. I kind of like what they're doing on offense. But, yeah, no play. Won't watch this one. I don't think there's some better options, I think, on TV at that time.
I totally agree. And no play. I was just curious about, what we do in this spot if you're Texas. And it's basically just hit the restart button, have a good game, try to play mistake-free.
I agree.
Hawaii and UW, University of Washington. Can Hawaii do it? Can they slay 3 Pac-12 teams in a row?
Unlikely, but
They're getting 21.5 with a total of 50.
I think they do cover. That's a lot of points.
Now you got tokenitis.
Yeah. No, I just thought there might be more. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, you never quite know. Then you start going, and he's like, "Yeah, no, I got more."
Yeah,
but part of them all, the whole lot of them.
That's funny. And I also like the under. I thought that that would be a classic token. But no, it is
Rice money line.
It's quite a few points. Certainly they can cover the line. I don't think they can win. I think it's a bad spot too, as Washington now coming off of a loss to Cal for the second straight year. I do think that they will look significantly better. So they're facing,
and that's got to hurt their chances as far as Pac-12 being a playoff contender too.
I would,
if they're going to be the one who wins it.
I'd say that they are almost eliminated from national championship competition at this point. Almost,
if they were to win the Pac-12.
Yes, because the one loss I think is so detrimental because the Pac-12 is so weak, comparatively speaking. So yes, again, they played a top 5 overall defense in my opinion. I'm a huge fan of Cal, as you know, but now they're going to play a bottom probably 15 or 20 defense, and it's going to look a little bit different here. I'm guessing they're going to be able to run the ball all over the field. 300-plus rushing yards for Washington total in this game, and I like them rolling here. Whether they can cover 3 touchdowns, don't know. I think it's a great line, so no play for me.
Yeah, I think this might be a blowout. As much as Hawaii's been a fun story so far against Arizona and Oregon State, that's not, even though Washington lost, that's not the caliber of Arizona and Oregon State. I keep saying Washington State, I don't know why, but they played Oregon State. I don't think Hawaii gets 3 in a row there. I think Washington rolls all over them. I think it's probably 28 to 35 point victory against them. Because you're right, I don't know if because Hawaii did it at home. Never seemed to really have a lot of success away from home. So, all right, Northern Illinois and Nebraska. I just had a feeling you have a play on this.
It would be. It does have a feel of a Tony Johnson type of play here, but I don't. I don't have a play. I like the line a lot. I was one of those I could try to come up with a line myself.
That should be a podcast, betting to see it. Betting on if Tony Johnson has a play on that game or not.
Yeah, sounds interesting.
Yeah, sounds like a game show.
Yeah, 12 to 13 points is the line I made it out to be. So, again, I think it's close enough here to where there's not really a whole lot of value. It's open at 14-ish and just pretty much stayed there. So that's sort of interesting. But, Northern has been long-term great in these type of spots. Again, new coach, though. He's a guy, he's been there for 8 to 10 years before that, so he has been a part of the system for a long time. I just don't think the team is as good this year. I really don't. I like the quarterback. I like how they went with Bowers, who's got a lot of experience, Pac-12 experience too, which is nice, but I just don't think the team is as good, and I'm waiting for Nebraska to look a lot better and to play to their potential.
But at the same time, he has the under 8.5 season wins.
I do.
So this is good for you.
It is good. No, I'm glad they're not playing well. I'm glad they blew the game last week. That was probably the best thing that happened overall last week. Was it looked like a loss in my season win book, but certainly was nice to steal one there. I'm not saying they're going to be a great team per se, but they do have some talent, and they should win rather convincingly against Northern Illinois. The problem is they're not doing it, and so it's a stay away game for me here. If I had to bet it, I would be taking the points, plus 14, with Northern Illinois.
Nice. Yeah, same here, plus the points. Strong lean. Not a play yet, but it could very well happen.
All right. And the last game we're going to chat about is Oklahoma and UCLA. We are months ago we had this game at Oklahoma -12. Now we are at Oklahoma -24 with a 72-point over/under line. UCLA has looked bad in 2 contests, and the seat is probably warming up for Chip Kelly at this point.
I expect so. Yes, I would certainly say so. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's been a gigantic miss so far.
Is his offense just not working because it's the norm now, kind of? Or what do you think? I mean,
I think the adjustments, he has not made necessary adjustments to get better as a coordinator and as a coach and a play caller. Yes, I do. I do think that he just has not moved forward. I think that's been part of the problem. Yes, exactly.
He was the innovator, and the game caught up.
Yes, and he has not continued to innovate. Like we see a lot of other coaches that continue to innovate on both sides of the ball. He has not been like Mike Leach is a great example of a guy that was one of the original air raid gurus, and he has continued to innovate that offense and change it. Like Max Borghi's getting 10 to 15 plus carries a game now. I mean, it's just he's doing things different and running the ball a little bit more out of those sets. So yeah, just you got to continue to do different things, and he's not. He's had some injuries, a lot of injuries the last year and a half. So that is a little unfortunate. That has continued well into this season, but. Yeah, this is one-way traffic here. Oklahoma is unstoppable on offense, 100% unstoppable until they play a quality defense. And so this
ain't it.
This is not at all the one. So yeah, I like them big here over UCLA.
Agreed. Oklahoma just steamrolls, probably wins by 35 plus.
Well, you make me more confident in taking it. I was just thinking about maybe teasing it down, but putting it in one of those big teasers. But yeah, you're right. They probably win this game like 52-10 or 52-20, which is still way good in that spot. So I'll roll with you guys. I'll lay the chalk, and I'll make a bet on Oklahoma.
Nice late night affair. Get a bet in. It's on national TV.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah,
there we go. It'll be something we can watch while we record the podcast for the NFL bets.
NFL.
Yeah, if it's still going on by then.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Pretty close.
We'll give or take. All right, well, that's going to wrap up our Week 3 football preview. Hopefully we are much better picking than we were in Week 2. So good luck if you tail, and if you fade, you might also be good too.
Or tail some choices, fade some.
Gambling on our picks is a gamble, so there you go, double gamble. So, again, I want to thank the sponsors, 12-Ounce Sports, obviously where we're on every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I want to thank Seat Giant. Enter promo code 12-Ounce Sports for a discount on sporting events, concert, and theater tickets. Also, Thrive Fantasy. For all your daily fantasy needs, enter promo code 12-Ounce Sports. And also Bet Spurts. I've already messed up the new sponsor. Bet Spurts, gambling advice website, and a pick tracker where you can track your picks and get picks from the experts as well. Promo code actually for them, Football35, gets you an annual subscription for $3.25 a month. That's a pretty good deal. So, all right. Once again, for Tony Johnson, for Token Tony, I'm Aaron. We appreciate you listening in. Good luck on your bets, and we will catch you on the next one.